Charles Barkley owns the big guy game.
The defiant one.
He's a beast, man.
I'll throw it down your throat like Barkley.
When legendary forward Charles Barkley first entered the league, they called him the round mound of rebound. But this undersized power player was out to prove that he was no novelty act.
The round mound of rebound. Chunky funk of dunk. It was get the ball, get your motor running, get up the floor, get out the way. I'm dunking on you.
One of the more unique players that ever played in the league, to where you have a guy who just has a knack to do a lot of different things on the floor.
The way Barkley played was very renegade, very defensive.
Every single guy I've ever played against in my life has been bigger than me. So if I go out there and don't have a chip on my shoulder, I wasn't going to be successful.
Put a bigger guy on him, he takes you outside. You put a smaller guy on him, he takes you inside.
Back in high school, I never got any shots my junior year, but I could get a lot of rebounds.
I think players who liked Charles, respected about him was he required you to deal with him on his terms.
If you look at the early stages of Charles Barkley's marketing from Nike, it was, the meek shall inherit the earth. His posters were of glass. He's holding, rims with backboard shattered, with glass breaking. It was in your face, I'm not a role model.
I am not a role model. I'm not paid to be a role model. Parents should be role models.
I think Charles expressed himself like no other athlete in sport, and I think a lot of people kind of wish they could do and say what Charles said.
That was the first time we really marketed a mindset, right, as opposed to just a product or a collection or a, playing style.
He was the guy where you see him play and you think he's bigger because that attitude, the way he carried himself on the court, and that was force. That's what force was all about. Was I'm going to go through you, you can't stop me.
Charles was probably one of the toughest guys to double in the post because he would always make the right play. He would have patience and timing, would bait you and understand where the double's coming from and who's going to be open.
The attitude, so then it kind of created this, idea of, force. You just hear the word, now you understand what it's implied to do.
Force is a perfect word for my game. People say, what are you trying to do in the game? I said, I'm trying to force my will upon the guy I'm playing against.
From the laces system, to the thickness of the sole, to the strapping system that they use on all of Barkley's shoes. Every design was a straitjacket.
The Air Force Max actually wasn't called the Barkley, but everybody knows it as the Barkley.
And the Barkley, this screams force, this screams night. You got plastic, you got all the crazy straps and stuff on it, and I think the 180 was just a great shoe.
The Forces, man, is some of the dopest shoes ever made. Then he wore the Maxes too, and the shoe fit Chuck.
This was a cool shoe just because it was for big guys. Everybody wanted to have that big guy game. Even if you were a little dude, you still want to come in.
You had all these fantastic shoes that are part of the historical legacy of the great shoes, but they didn't have a signature on it.
No doubt Sir Charles was ready for his own pair of signature kicks, but Nike faced a dilemma. How do you contain the controversy of Chuck? The answer, you don't. You take on his critics with brutal honesty and an ill pair of kicks.
I stand like Barkley in the paint, dominate mics, push y'all off.
I remember saying it's about time, because up until that time, Charles had been in these great shoes. He was in the Alpha Force Low, and he was in the Air Force Max, and it was like, Charles hasn't earned a signature shoe yet. And the pattern pieces in Charles's footwear were bigger and very bold. Like his first true signature shoe had the kind of multiple straps on it, and there was an attitude and a toughness about it. Things you saw in the Charles Barkley series is they had a lot of features, right? Straps and lockdown. Sometimes that can be bulkier than you want, and so if you look at the Charles from the one all the way to the last one, they got sleeker and more integrated, and the strapping systems became part of the upper instead of overlaid on top of the upper. And so as Charles's game became more refined, right, because he started out as the rebounder, right? Then he transitioned into the scorer and the slasher, and he could do a lot of different things. So his shoes did the same thing.
Get off the floor very quickly. He was strong on the low block. He could take people. He could score from outside, and then he could get out on the break with the ball. And,
coming down the lane, the charge from Charles Barkley, nah, that ain't gonna happen, coach. Take me out. I mean, just relentless.
Rebound like he could, score like he could, handle the ball, pass. The power forward position, you just don't see that. You'll probably never see it again.